Hey, ho, boys and girls. It is a new year, and after skipping 5th gen Wi-Fi entirely, we are back with a series on 6th gen pre-Pokemon Bank, which is, has had some delays to many people's chagrin, but some of the Pokemon have already flooded. Actually, most of them they're already out going around the GTS and all that stuff, and before long, we will be bombarded with all the remaining Pokemon being ported in, opening up move pools from move tutors, past TMs, events, all of that stuff, and it's probably going to make stuff a nasty mess. But anyway, this series, I wanted to make sure that I get in at least one pre-Pokemon Bank, since I don't really see Pokemon Bank helping the cause of legit play whatsoever. But anyway, for this special time, we are going to have at least one series here, and if we're making a series, then of course that means we're going to have a team reveal video. So, just like 2 years ago, we've already played all the games, so we can probably expect the format kind of similar to that, although hopefully this one will be a little bit shorter. Yeah, there's not, I guess, too much else to say. Let's just get right into it and see who is on this team. We're going to break it down as the components got added in. One of, if not the biggest things that Pokemon X and Y introduced was Mega Pokemon. Once for battle, you can have one of your Pokemon holding a Mega Stone, only certain Pokemon apply, transform into a stylized, I guess is a nice way to put it, version of themselves with different abilities, sometimes different typings, altered stats, lots of good stuff, kind of an in-battle surge of power, very Digimon-like, and I kind of like it personally. But anyway, we decided to start the team with that, since you can only have one of them. You can certainly bring, multiple Mega Stones, but you can only do one Mega Evolution, so you kind of get into a situation where you're wasting several Pokemon's, items if you try to do that. Or a pretty good strategy, actually, is to build your team with multiple Pokemon that can become Megas, and therefore you can kind of psych your opponent out, although that can definitely limit your team building options. So we didn't really care about doing that either. We're just going to let it flow with whatever. So, longtime viewers of this channel will know that this is Team Mega. We have to have all the Pokemon with Mega Man nicknames. And so of all the Mega Pokemon, only 14 I have a name for. So that narrows down the list a bit. I love Mega Mawile. It's my favorite Mega, but I have no name for it yet, so that's going to be right out. As for Mega Gardevoir, at least in the shiny form, that is our Mega Man. That would be the perfect thing to start out this series with. Unfortunately, Mega Gardevoir sucks. It is not just bad, it is the worst of all the Megas, in my opinion. And I can't ever see myself using this. I would rather use regular Gardevoir. I think I might even rather use regular Gardevoir with no held item. So, anyway. Or at least Gardevoir holding male. Anyway. So those are out, and I just decided to go with the one that has the most interesting ability, one that I've never gotten to use because it was introduced in 5th. So previously from the Ragtag team, I don't remember what tournament that was, but it was one tournament where we had to spell a word. That team never got any of its battles aired because I don't believe it won a single game. But from that team comes Erase Man, the Absol. So Mega Absol gets Magic Bounce, which is a fantastic ability. You just bounce back. Will-O-Wisp, Toxic, Stealth Rock, all sorts of nasty stuff you don't want set up against you, and since you bounce it back at them. You do have to Mega Evolve first to gain access to it, though, so you do have to kind of get that turn to activate Magic Bounce. It's definitely very effective on switch-ins when they might not be quite as expecting it as much. Definitely a very powerful ability, and moving into the moveset, no one should be arguing with the first move. Sucker Punch and Magic Bounce they're just tailor-made for each other. Sucker Punch will fail if they are not readying an attack. Magic Bounce kind of ensures that they are not going to do something like, Will-O-Wisp or Spore, any kind of thing like that, because it's just going to get redirected back at them and they're just going to hurt themselves with it. So, unfortunately, it does kind of have low PP, so that kind of can play into some mind games later on, but Sucker Punch, too solid a pick. It's just way too overpowered with Magic Bounce to not include. So for the second move, I wanted something that gave pretty good coverage. I don't think Superpower is available pre-bank. It requires a tutor from an older game. So I decided to go with a fairy move in the form of Play Rough, which is the only physical fairy move there is, pretty much. Darken Fairy, it's not quite as good as Ghost Fairy, but it's still pretty good. Provides coverage against Dark and Fighting types that would resist Sucker Punch. and is just pretty solid overall. I really like Fairy offense. It's also super effective to Dragon. It's just really good. And also, Steel types lost their resistance to Dark and Ghost, so Dark and Fairy does not get walled by Steel types. So that's pretty alright too. For the third move, I wanted it to be some kind of a stat up move, and I bred this Pokemon with Curse, out of kind of a tribute to Malk, who famously uses Curse Absol. You know, it's a pretty good tandem with Sucker Punch. You know, you're lowering your speed, gaining some additional bulk as well as some attack, but I couldn't be that novelty. Being novelty is kind of what got me in trouble with the Winter 11 series, so I decided, nope, let's just go with Swords Dance and be super duper serious about it, and I think that was the correct play. For the last move, it was either going to be Stone Edge or Shadow Claw, since Superpower is not available pre-bank. And the problem with Stone Edge, you know, better coverage obviously, since Shadow Claw is pretty redundant with Sucker Punch. Sometimes it's not, you know, you have things like Gardevoir that are weak to Ghost but not Dark. But my big problem there was that that's got 80% accuracy, Play Rough has 90, Sucker Punch is not reliable. I don't have anything that I can just say, okay, 100% low HP poke, it's dead. Stone Edge did not give me that. Shadow Claw did. They both had high crit, so in case anyone ever wanted to play with no megas, which was another criteria, I wanted to make sure it was something that I would be okay in case someone wanted to play no megas. You know, having Super Luck, I probably would have strapped on Scope Lens. I don't think this ever happened, but you know, to get that new with Super Luck, only 150% damage instead of double. But guaranteed crit, I believe, with high crit moves and Scope Lens and Super Luck. So, pretty nice. Anyway, we decided to go with Shadow Claw just for that reliable, 100% accurate move that I really wanted. And, you know, Ghost and Fairy, still pretty good. Type coverage, even if we have a Dark move as well. So, for the EVs, not too complicated. Max Attack Adamant should be pretty self-explanatory. And then for the speed, I just looked at the speed tiers and went down the list. I can Sucker Punch that, Sucker Punch that, Sucker Punch that. Okay, Mega Lucario might not be able to Sucker Punch that. So that is where I decided to put my speed a little bit ahead of Mega Lucario. That's something we're going to have to use Play Rough against as opposed to Sucker Punch. So we saved about, what, 22 EVs to put in HP. Probably won't make a big difference, but you never know. So that is that. Let's look forward and seeing how many Pokemon he gets to erase. Moving on to the next guy now. Alright, for the next Pokemon, I want it to be another offensive guy. Also introduced in XY are time limits, even on versus friend Wi-Fi battles. 100 seconds per move selection, and 1 hour match time total overall. Otherwise, it's, yeah, the match ends there. Or as I like to pretend, the match intentionally disconnects. Anyway, so I decided I wanted to be an offensive Pokemon, and I didn't get to use this guy nearly enough in 4th, despite being one of the original Robot Masters, so come on back, Gutsman, the Machamp. So, like I said again, I wanted it to be an offensive one. Certainly you can do, you know, bulky stuff. Lead with Lum was considered, but I figured that would be a little bit, it's kind of too common. I wanted to go with Life Orb on there to get some extra oomph while still being able to change moves. So, I knew I wanted that Bullet Punch, get some priority, and also being super effective to the new Fairy type, which was going to resist his stab fighting move. And, you know, if you're using Machamp, Dynamic Punch is just, it's too fun to not use. And with Dynamic Punch, we're going to go with No Guard, of course. And yeah, Life Orb Dynamic Punch is going to be very powerful. And, you know, even if you don't knock something out, you still get that chance of confusion and get a coin flip chance to, you know, make something nice happen for you. So with No Guard, Stone Edge immediately becomes a great coverage option. Hits all those flying types and stuff. And for the last move, we decided to go a little unorthodox with Fire Blast. You know, we already had Life Orb, so I figured, this will probably be a pretty decent chance if I'm going to, you know, make this offensive Machamp. Let's put Fire Blast on there. I know several people have done it in the past, and I just always thought it would be a fun thing to do. And the base power nerf hurts a little bit. It's down to 110 instead of 120. But, you know, it still helps some of those situations. You know, against something that's got really high physical defense, something like, say, Avalugg. You know, I believe Dynamic Punch, you can actually EV Avalugg to live 2 of them. That's how much defense that thing has. Just anything like that, something, I don't know, you never know. Fire Blast might be helpful. Powerful move on the special side that's not going to miss due to no guard. And also, if he happens to get burned, at least that's one move he can use at full power. For the EVs, wanted to go max attack. He's still primarily physical despite, having some special in there. And then I didn't want to put too much speed in there, even though he was offensively based. There's just not too much stuff he can reliably outspeed. He's kind of at that speed where it's like, well, stuff can run more or less speed depending. So I just decided I was gonna get enough speed to outspeed a minimum speed Scizor with perhaps with like 4 or 6, however many EVs put in there. Mega Scizor's a little bit faster, but I don't really like Mega Scizor myself. But even if someone does use it, speed gets calculated before the turn starts. So for that turn it Mega evolves, it'll still be operating with regular Scizor's speed. So they will kind of be limited to just a Bullet Punch, which should not kill Machamp from full. And hopefully we have a nice Fire Blast with our remaining 166 special attack to roast some Scizors with. Might also be useful against things like, Fortress, I guess, Ferrothorn. I guess Fighting's pretty good. I guess Dynamic Punch is still pretty good against those too. But I guess in Ferrothorn's case, it won't activate Iron Barbs. But anyway, so that's Guts Man. There's not too much substance to him. He's just hit you in the face, and boom, 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 Life Orb, and hopefully he kills some stuff before they kill him. Alright, next guy. So we just passed over Machamp for the lead, so now I think now is probably a good time to be considering, who do we want to lead? We do want an actual dedicated lead, and we're going to go with the guy, we just got a guy from the first Classic Series game. Let's get a guy from the first Battle Network game in the form of Colorman, the Smeargle. He's going to be 100% utility, and yeah, he's going to be holding Focus Sash so we can make sure he gets his utility stuff off. And let's just look at his moveset here. Of course, Smeargle has the widest move pool of anything in the game. So our first move is going to be Sticky Web. It's the new entry hazard that whenever something switches in, it gets its speed lowered by 1 if it's touching the ground. It doesn't have Levitate or whatever. Obviously, that's really good. You just set it up once, and basically, against everything that's not, levitating, all of your Pokemon effectively have a Choice Scarf against it without being choiced. That's a pretty good thing to have. It definitely varied in its usefulness from battle to battle. Some battles it was absolutely amazing. Other battles it was not really that useful. So overall though, this was our move that we wanted to pick on the first turn 90% of the time. And for the second move, Spore. Yes, I know grass types now have immunity to Spore. The ability Overcoat now protects it. Safety Goggles protect against it. But still, it's 100%. I'm not going to pass up and do something like Lovely Kiss just to get around the grass type immunity and stuff. No, I'm just going to go with that 100% Spore. And, if they make a switch into something, fine. But against the thing I can see in front of me right now, if I can Spore that or force a switch, all good. So, yeah, we're just gonna stick with Spore. Once we get some information about the team, then we'll know how useful Spore is going to be. For the third move, Parting Shot. It's a great move, but only the Panda Pokemon get it, Pangoro and Pancham. So, what it does is you basically get to U-turn out, but instead of doing damage, you get to lower their attack and special attack by 1 stage. So it's kind of like Memento, except you don't die. That's pretty good. So also combined with Sticky Web, the Sticky Web lowers their speed, Parting Shot lowers their attack and special attack. They are now offensively crippled, and that can allow someone to come in and try to set up and sweep, like maybe Mega Absol, for example. So I really liked it for that reason. The last move, I decided to go with a little bit of a gimmick that I grabbed from Blah, which was Transform. Smeargle ordinarily can't really do too much on his own. But maybe I pull a Transform, and, Transform, I just jack all your stats. Smeargles are terrible, but maybe yours are okay. So, if you've got someone who wants to come in and maybe try to set up, well, I can Transform and, at least, have some sort of offense against you. Or maybe, I Transform on the switch in, and, my guy's got a Focus Sash. If it's something that can beat itself, then I've got the Sash and you don't. It's definitely has some fun options. Also, it can just scout their moveset, which can be very valuable, and, Transform, okay, I see you have this, and this, and, okay, that's good knowledge to know. So for the ability, at first I thought it was fairly irrelevant, but then I remembered, oh yeah, Focus Sash and Own Tempo will let me live Dynamic Punches just fine from lead Machamp, which is fairly common. So yeah, we're gonna go with that. The only other one, obviously we're not gonna use Technician on a Pokemon that has no attacks, and Moody, I don't think anyone would appreciate me bringing. So yeah. As for the nature, Jolly Max Speed, that's obviously a must. I originally had the EVs in defense, but when I decided to go with Transform, I moved them to HP, since HP does not get copied when you use Transform. So yeah, that's this Smeargle. He was, generally his best case scenario is he sets up Sticky Web. Maybe they knock him down to a Sash. You Spore it, whatever they have out. Then you Parting Shot out as they switch. And I believe this only actually worked out one time, but when it did, it was beautiful. So that's Color Man, that's our lead. And we have 3 Pokemon in, and we have no walls. This is a major problem. This must change right now. Let's go with a physical wall next. Alright, and our physical wall is going to be, it's a returnee from the Winter 2011 series, Shade Man the Gliscor. He's got the same nature and the same EVs, still outspeeds Jolly Base 70. In the past, we cared about Breloom because we packed Aerial Ace, but now I guess Metagross is probably the one we want to be ahead of. And overall, best defense. I thought about going max defense and the rest in HP, but that did not really contribute to his physical bulk that much at all. So let's just get a little bit more special bulk with that. He's got the amazing Poison Heal and Roost combination. Black White 2 made that legal, and it still remains legal now. And yeah, that's just way too good. 1/8 HP back. And Roost on top of that, so you can just get back globs of HP all over the place and just outstall stuff just with that. I actually kind of considered Leftovers just for some mega recovery, 3/16 back a turn, if you can bait a Toxic somehow. But ultimately, Toxic Orb is going to be more consistent. Just switch him in, take a physical hit, get Toxic up, and then gain immunity from Sleep and Burn is the main 2 things. And also, it's another thing that doesn't have to have Leftovers, because Leftovers are kind of hard to come by. But anyway, as for the rest of the moves, obviously we're going to have Roost. I knew I wanted Knockoff. Knockoff probably got buffed more than any other move this generation. It used to be, 20 base power, it's whatever, that keeps it from being taunted, I guess. The main thing is you want to knock off their item. Now, not only does it knock off their item, it's 65 base power, which itself is only 10 weaker than Night Slash. And on top of that, if they have an item, whether you knock it off or not due to Sticky Hold or being a Mega Stone, I believe it gets buffed by 50% up to 97.5, or round it up or down, whatever. That's pretty good. That, like, 20 base power move, almost 100. That's quite a jump. So Knockoff is definitely a great move on anyone who can get it, I would think. At least anyone who's somewhat bulky, and Gliscor definitely fits that billing and should be a great user of it. I knew I wanted a source of Toxic somewhere on the team. So far we've had 2 very, powerful hit you in the face guys, but kind of coming back at the end here, we want to make sure we can, do some stalling around if we need to as well. So we definitely want Toxic somewhere, and this seems like a pretty good place to put it. It also just seems fitting that, the guy with Poison Heal is dishing out Toxic himself. So, yeah, with just getting Toxic on someone, and then just Roost and Poison Heal, and he can just beat things by outstalling it just with that. Just Toxic something, Roost, and it's dead. Just it's kind of silly. And for the last move, the move that I did not put on the old Shade Man, Earthquake. Come on, it's it's a ground type. Put Earthquake on it. It hits steals and poisons that are immune to Toxic, and deals some respectable damage, which is something that Winter 11 Shade Man lacked. He still doesn't have any attack investment, but 100 base power stab with respectable attack stat is still going to do some decent damage. So he's bulkier than the old Shade Man due to Poison Heal, and he's definitely more able to deal some damage with Knockoff and Earthquake. So yeah, I definitely like this rendition. I don't know how many 100 times better than the old one. He definitely proved his worth in this series, and yeah, hopefully he will stall up a lot of things for us. Wait and see. But for the next guy, we don't have any special attacks on the whole team besides Fire Blast, so let's see if we can correct that with the next guy. So if we look at the Pokemon we have on the team so far, they are all guys that could have been had in 4th gen, at least the Pokemon themselves. So we're going to try to use a 5th or 6th gen guy. If you've noticed, we don't like 5th gen very much on this channel. So we're going to be going with a 6th gen guy here, and we want it to be a special attacker. So there's not a lot of new Pokemon introduced in X and Y to begin with. So having a special attacker on top of that kind of narrows it down to maybe like 4 viable guys or so, I don't know. Anyway, I decided to go with one that is more apparent, I think, as a physical attacker, but is in fact equally skilled at special, and that's going to be Swordman, the Aegislash. You know, he's a sword. You swing swords, melee. But, nope, he's going to be special, and we knew his attacks are going to be Shadow Ball, Flash Cannon, and Sacred Sword to mix in a fighting move, mainly for Blissey. You know, Psychic and Fairy types, pretty common as special walls, but, you know, and that, of course, will resist fighting, but we've got Stab to deal with those. You know, notably Gardevoir is weak to both Ghost and Steel, so, yeah. Anyway, the big thing I had to decide on for him was his last move. It's going to be one of the 2 status category moves, King Shield, which is his signature move, or Autonomies. And this choice is going to affect his item, nature, EVs, and even what IVs I breed him for. It was either going to be more bulk and slow with King Shield, which is basically like Protect, but it switches him back. It's the only move that switches him back to his shield form. If you know how Aegislash works, with you know, whenever he goes to attack, he switches to the blade form, and he can go back to the shield form by using King Shield. The blade form has the big attack, 150 on both. The shield form has 150 in the defenses and 50 in the lower stats. Anyway, hopefully you guys know how Aegislash works. He's a pretty unique guy, and he's pretty cool. Anyway, so with King Shield, we were gonna go for really slow and a lot of bulk. And with the Autonomies, we were gonna go for more of a fast sweeper set with minimum bulk. So ultimately, I decided that King Shield is kind of predictable. You know, attack, King Shield, attack, King Shield. You know, it gets really easy to out-predict. So, and also, I believe status category moves go through King Shield, so you can get like burned, and that sucks. So I decided to go with Autonomies. We don't have a ton of speed on the team so far. We're kind of relying on, I guess, Sticky Web. So and also Sticky Web, you know, luring stuff. Maybe, you know, we can outspeed some stuff just by having some speed in this guy. And an Aegislash outspeeding you without using Autonomies is pretty humiliating for a lot of things. But so we decided to go with Autonomies. Felt like it was going to be a little bit less used, and you know, we're already using special set on this guy, which I felt at the time anyway it was a little bit less used, and maybe we could surprise some people. So let's, you know, continue the surprise factor with Autonomies. Anyway, so that means we're gonna have Life Orb to boost the damage, since he does not get Nasty Plot. No other way to boost the special attack, and he's mixed anyway with Sacred Sword. So once again, we're taking advantage of Life Orb to the full extent. And max special attack, base 50 with Life Orb, that is gonna hurt. The other thing I really liked about the Autonomies set, even though you can set up Autonomies, if you're not ready to set up, you can still just take pot shots and, you know, just shoot a Shadow Ball, shoot a Flash Cannon off, and switch out when, you know, after that, and you're in blade form. The nice thing about that is you're doing the same damage that you would have if you did set up. You know, with something like Nasty Plot or Swords Dance, you know, if you get a hit off, then it's like, well, you know, I could have been dealing more damage if I had Swords Danced. But in this case, no, that's how much damage you would have done anyway, even if you would use the Autonomies. So I kind of like that aspect of it. And for the nature and EVs, we decided to go with Rash. We didn't want to lower defense because, you know, maybe there's some weak Shadow Sneaks, maybe even Sucker Punches that we could potentially live in blade form. I don't know. But we're going to give ourselves as best chance as we can, certainly. Life Orb's going to do us no favors in living any kind of priority that can still hit. Extreme Speed and Mach Punch, of course, are immune. But yeah, so we decided to lower special defense over that, mainly for the priority reasons. We got max special attack, as I said. And then for the speed, this is where it kind of gets a little bit interesting. I wanted some speed, and then however much we had left in HP for gaining a little bit of bulk. You know, he's still got the shield form. That's just got really good defenses. So even though he's more of a sweeper set, doesn't mean he can't, you know, take a hit or two in the shield form. And we want to save as much HP as possible to spend on Life Orb damage. So for the speed, I just decided to set it to, okay, let's look and see, let's try to outspeed. At first I was calculating, let's outspeed Talonflame, but I think Talonflame is like 126. It's a little bit slower than Crobat, and I decided, you know what, why don't we just outspeed Crobat? That sounds like a good thing to outspeed. So Crobat, I believe, caps at 200 speed at level 50. All these EV spreads were geared towards level 50, since that is the new standard, I guess. You know, it's level 50 all on Wi-Fi. There is no level 100 all, unfortunately. All the, you know, official competitions are going to be level 50, so, you know, VGC, all that type of stuff. So, you know, why not just, you know, embrace the new standard? It's not like it's really worse inherently, so let's just go with it. Anyway, so we're outspeeding Crobat by 2 points, which is always nice, in case something wants to put its speed at 1 higher than Crobat. The reason I decided not to go max speed is, well, one of the reasons, I guess, as Cayman has pointed out, which I have to give Cayman, by the way, credit for the Autonomies idea. We were talking about that, and I kind of took a liking to it. Is a Scarfed Heracross, you know, is still pretty dangerous. That can definitely run Night Slash, and that would be the death of Aegislash. So Hera, I believe, with Adamant, he caps out at 205. But the big kicker is that Aegislash caps out with a mild nature, or a rash nature, you know, not a speed boosting nature, caps out at 112. That means with Autonomies, it's 224. Jolly Heracross caps out with max speed at 225, outspeeding by 1 measly point. So, you know, if it's not gonna outspeed Jolly, I'm not really gonna be keen on taking the risk that it's an Adamant Scarf Heracross. I mean, certainly it could be, but I just decided, nope, we're not gonna bother taking that risk. That's kind of the way you can get sometimes with speed, especially when it's a Autonomized set where, you know, it's like each speed you put in, well, that's really 2 points of speed. But, you know, you can really get into a chicken race with speed EVs and Pokemon, and I decided to, let's just hold off at Crobat, and, you know, if I can determine that something is not choiced, then Crobat is probably a pretty good stopping point. And then that left 94 HP, 94 EVs in HP, and I believe he had at least one HP live over the course of the series, so those extra HP EVs were not spent in vain. I don't think the speed being a little bit lower than it possibly could have been hurt whatsoever. But anyway, this guy was definitely a joy to use, and hopefully you'll enjoy watching him. But we got one more Pokemon on the team. It's going to have to tie everything together, and I think we're going to have to make another call to another Winter 2011 friend. Alright, our checklist for the 6th guy is, we want to have someone with Wish support, we want another special attacker, and we want someone with good special defense because we do not yet have a dedicated special wall. All those factors combined, it was tough to turn down Vaporeon. It's a bulky all-around Pokemon with some great Wish healing due to the change that 5th Gen made where it recovers half of the caster's HP instead of the recipient's. We definitely have some guys that can appreciate some Wish support. You know, a couple of guys with low HP like Aegislash, and guys that hurt themselves with Life Orb. So they would like to get some HP back from that. So, making amends for last time we used her, where I had Wish but no Protect. This time we're going to have Wish and Protect, slap them on there, good, done. Toxic would have been nice, you know, it's Toxic and Protect is always, you know, something nice to try to stall stuff out. But Gliscor's already got it, so maybe he can get stuff Toxic. And as well, there is Scald, the, oh, that move. Scald, which rolls Surf and a damage over time status into 1. 30% chance to burn. So many pokes get this move. It's kind of a ridiculous move, and yeah, pretty overpowered. It's gonna be tough to really find a reason to use Surf on anything that's not just like dedicatedly offensive there to sweep. Just because Scald is only 10 less base power. I will trade you 10 less base power for a 30% chance to burn on just about any move ever. Except maybe Constrict, which only has 10 base power to begin with. But anyway. So I would not be surprised if Wish, Protect, and Scald were on pretty much every Vaporeon set ever, and when just the 4th move is the only one that's different. But anyway, we do have to make a decision on that 4th move, and you know, Heal Bell would have probably been my first choice had we had access to it, but I believe that's only accessible from Heart Gold, Soul Silver tutors, so we can't quite get that yet. And 4 moves we considered were Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, Hidden Power, and Acid Armor. Shadow Ball, that was right out. We just had a guy with Shadow Ball in the form of Swordman, Erase Man has a Ghost and the Dark move, and Shade Man has Knockoff. So, you know, we got plenty of Dark and Ghost offense on the team. Hidden Power, I believe, ended up to be something like, it was either Ghost or Dark, so of course we're not going to get that through if Shadow Ball was taken out. Also, Hidden Power got changed where it's just a static 60 base power, only have to breed for the type. I like that change a lot. It, number one, makes it easier to breed for. Number two, the base power drop kind of makes it irrelevant, which is kind of nice. So you don't have to worry about breeding for it. Anyway, so it's down to just Ice Beam or Acid Armor. For Ice Beam, I have no special attack investment, and they got a nerf to the base power. Maybe this would be useful against something like, you know, Dragon types, but I think I would be okay just going for Scald, even though it's resisted, and trying to get them burned. So I just could not have enough. I did not have enough arguments for Ice Beam, really. Maybe against some grass types, but generally grass types are pretty specially bulky, and I'm not going to get Stab on Ice Beam, so the damage is just not going to be there. So with that in mind, I just decided to go with Acid Armor. Combined with a Scald Burn, you know, she's supposed to be a special wall. That's what her EVs are, you know, kind of geared toward, I guess. But really, with Acid Armor and Burn, she kind of becomes a dual wall, in fact. And yeah, for the EVs, we just went with hitting some nice numbers, I guess. It actually ended up being pretty effective as well as cosmetic. We went with 100 defense, 150 special defense. These are the actual numbers at level 50, not the EVs, as you can see on the screen. And then the rest in HP, which actually does hit her max lefties number, so that was kind of nice. What is that? 228, so that is... yeah, it's a lefties number plus a little. I like to do lefties numbers plus a little bit, so if stuff gets to operate in multiples of, you know, 1/16, then you can be left with 1 or 2 HP instead of 0. But anyway, in Calm Nature, that's just the optimal nature for hitting those numbers and getting the most stats possible. So anyway, yeah, that is Splash Woman. I think Acid Armor actually picked up some popularity, somewhat surprisingly. It also helped that I recently watched the Battling Eevee Brothers episode of the anime, where one of the guys, what's his name, Rainer, says, "Vaporeon, use your Acid Armor and fight back!" And that's, Acid Armor's not an attack. It's defense up. But anyway, so I felt like putting it on there. It's kind of one of Vaporeon's signature moves, as it, you know, melts into water with it or whatever. So I felt like it would be a good move. And holy crap, it was definitely pulled its weight. It definitely put me in a lot of precarious situations against boosting walls, but you know, stuff with like Hone Claws, Dragon Dance, Curse. Okay, I'm just gonna Acid Armor and get +2 while you're getting +1, and then I'm eventually gonna burn you. So that was kind of what Vaporeon said to all physical attackers who did not have Swords Dance. And she was definitely a tremendous force, and I definitely used her a lot, as I'm sure you will see. So that wraps up who's on the team. Let's now cut to some final talk before we end this video. Alright, so let's wrap some stuff up here. Talk about a few other things, kind of the nuances of this series that might make it a little bit unique compared to some other stuff. The first big thing is most of the games in this, we at least extended the offer to play with no team reveal. You know, that was a big thing, was introduced in 5th. It was common before in games like Coliseum, Stadium, where you would have, you know, 6 Pokemon on a side, you would see each other's teams, but you would only bring 3. So there, you know, there was some strategy to play there with which 3 will they bring, I should bring these 3 to counter those, etc. However, for the first time in 5th, it was forced upon us, even in 6v6. I never really took a liking to it. I don't feel it has any place in 6v6. You know, it certainly changes things, some things for the better, some things for the worse. In my opinion, more for the worse. But, you know, it's one of the major things that kept me from playing in 5th gen. And I decided, you know, at this generation, even if they bring it back, it's not going to stop me from playing. I'm just going to either, you know, bite the bullet or, you know, whatever. So it's just a gentleman's agreement, of course. Can't enforce it, but you'll be able to see in our live recordings, we got a card stuck, Pokemon card stuck on top of the screen to obscure the screen. So that's how you do it, guys. You can play without team reveal. You just got to have a little accessory to do it. Anyway. Also, we're gonna have no notable bans anyway. You know, I'm sure like no one's gonna bring crap like, you know, Moody type stuff, all that junk. I guess the only real things were Xerneas, Yveltal, and Mewtwo. Those are obviously, you know, obviously uber, you know, way over 600 BST. So I don't think anyone's gonna bring those. Basically, I didn't lay anything out explicitly. Just you know, people using common sense and realizing, yeah, that's broken. We're not going to bring that. As far as all the megas, I didn't really feel like any of the megas were really too broken. At least just looking at it at first glance. Certainly that, you know, may change as time goes on, especially as Bank opens up some of their move pools. But as of right now, I didn't. For pre-Bank, I didn't feel like any of the megas were too overpowering. And so I decided, you know, we're not gonna ban any of the megas in particular. Anyway, also in the future, Blah, myself, and hopefully a lot of other people, we're gonna have our own non-use based tiers. You know, we kind of don't like. I don't think I've gone by Smogon tiers since they banned Garchomp. That was probably the tipping point for that. So we're gonna continue to not do that and just you know, Smogon. You know, I definitely respect all their work, but your tiers, I'm sorry, are pretty terrible. So we're not going to listen to that. Anyway, also just some commentary on how easy the breeding has been in this generation. It's been amazing. The big thing, of course, is the Destiny not passing down 5 IVs. It's just so easy to just brute force and get a 531 Pokemon. It's not hard at all. It's so easy to play legit now. Also, continuing a common trait that seemed to happen a lot to me in 4th gen. I got a lot of females. If you noticed, everyone on the team is female except for Erase Man. The only one that had to be female, of course, was Splash Woman for obvious reasons, and the rest I was like, I don't care one way or the other, whatever. You know, they're supposed to be modeled after robots, which don't really have actual sex anyway. But anyway, 2 of the guys were actually needed to have more than just 531s. Erase, Color, Shade, and Splash, I was pretty fine with just having 5 because they weren't using one of their attack stats. But Gutsman and Swordman, you know, were mixed, so they were using both. And for both of them, I decided, you know what, we're just going to breed for everything but special defense, and then whatever, you know, we'll just take the best male with special defense. Well, guess what happened? In both, not only in just one of them, but for both of them, I got a female which had a 30 in special defense. Which, because it's level 50, a 30 is the same as a 31 if you're uninvested and don't have any EVs, providing an extra 0.5. In this case, they were uninvested, so essentially they are 31 all at level 50. And of course, they're female. Even Machamp, which is 75% male, wound up being female. So, anyway, whatever. That's just a little commentary I had to make. Tends to be my luck. As far as who's going to be in these battles, it's mostly friends from TPX Xat, or at least TPX Skype as we now are. Very sad that neither of my Diamond brothers, Makar and Cayman, are going to be able to join me for this. They just did not get teams in time for various reasons. But hopefully, you know, some of the things in this team were inspired. As I mentioned it with Swordman, I kind of took some inspiration from Cayman for that, and definitely the way I played, I think you'll see, with a lot of emphasis on Shade Man and Splash Woman. Definitely some defensive playing that I guess you could say is inspired by Makar. So hopefully you two can live vicariously through this series, and I'm really sad for anyone who is just now getting the game, or you know, got it for Christmas and was not able to experience this awesome time of pre-Bank play with, you know, unfortunately Bank kind of messed up and let some of the hack things like Contrary Snivy is one of them that comes to mind. You know, various things like that. Let all that crap through, and yeah, it's just kind of a mess now. But you know, for that few months before Pokemon Bank, this was some of the best weeks, I think, of a generation that's ever been. And as far as this series go, no questions asked. It is the best series I have done on this channel so far, and I haven't even narrated any of the games yet. I had definitely the series I've had. This is definitely the team I've had the most fun playing with. Absolutely. We got, I think, 11 games in this series, and none of them I would consider bad. The last one, the finale, is kind of going to be a fun joke. We're going to probably do a tribute type thing like we did with the Winter 11 series, where we just do some recaps and summaries and stuff with that one. But the first 10, like, all of them were good. Win or lose, you know, they were great. There was no bad games in this series. Heart-pounding moments scattered throughout. Like, I was so tense in several of these battles. We had a lot of good plays. We had some bad plays. And of course, we've got emote strips coming in. You know, it's kind of a staple of Cooper Wi-Fi battles, and we're certainly going to continue that. I believe we only had 2 disconnects, one of which we followed up with a rematch to get at least 1 completed battle. So there will be 1 game I think that's going to be versus recorded, but the rest should all be live recorded. And yeah, I guess that just about covers it. Definitely this is the best series as far as battle series go I've posted on this channel, so I hope you guys will enjoy. If any of these series have been close to being deemed a success, I think I can deem this one a success. It was definitely a blast to play, and I hope it will be a blast to watch, and I hope my commentary can do these games justice. So that's gonna be it for now. See you guys in these videos. They're gonna be coming up probably twice a week, I believe, over the next month and a half or so. So look forward to them, and I'll see you guys then. Later days.